76, 59, and 4 run with the free picks, all sports combined over the past 20 weeks. For Thursday night's card, an over-under release on the Chicago-Boston NBA showdown in the Eastern Conference coming up in just a moment. Now listen, my free pick from Wednesday, the rainout game between Minnesota and New York, does not carry through today because it was predicated on two things. A, Carl Pavano starting for Minnesota, and B, it was every bit as much a play on going against the Yankees because they were starting Freddie Garcia. As you know, the pitching matchups today, the Twins are going with Liriano, and Burnett is going now instead for the Yankees as they push Garcia's start back to next week, but it doesn't matter, I'll go against him then. That's how much I think he's washed up. So that play is rained out, canceled, so we have another free play coming your way in just a moment. I'll tell you what, just a quick review of some of the games here as I was preparing to do my handicapping for today. I'll tell you what, in the NBA last night, the game that surprised me the most wasn't the Lakers' loss at Golden State, and it was a miserable game for LA. It was Denver's performance at Dallas. Now, 2 nights ago, I went with the Nuggets at home against Oklahoma City, and they lost that game outright. It was the manner in which they lost it, as they allowed Oklahoma City to go on a 16-0 run in the fourth quarter to take control and ultimately roll to the easy win. So last night, they go on the road at Dallas, they're catching like 4.5 points, and they go ahead and they win the game 104-96. Another strong performance by the Nuggets, but a really impressive performance when you consider coming off that type of home loss and then going back on the road. Can't really be that surprised in retrospect, considering how well they played since they unloaded Carmelo Anthony, and considering their last road game was Sunday's upset of the Lakers at the Staples Center. But considering what the Lakers have suddenly done, you have to wonder, how big was that win? But still, this Denver team, definitely an up-and-coming squad with tremendous depth. And you can tell that since Carmelo was traded, that George Karl has just been rejuvenated. He's got a team that's focused, a team that listens, and he's got so many interchangeable parts, including 2 quality point guards in Lawson and Felton. Pretty damn good team. Not going to win the NBA championship, but still, pretty darn good team. Before I get to your free pick, I just want to quickly talk about baseball betting. Here we are, the season started early this year. We're already almost a week into it. Baseball betting has changed over the past 20 years. 20 years ago, your top pitchers, and I'm talking about, guys at their prime, Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, Steve Carlton, when those guys were at their prime, that's when you saw outrageous lines. But I'm talking about those days, outrageous lines were maybe, one of those guys laying 200 on the road, maybe laying 240 at home. But it's changed over the years. Is it because of parity in baseball? I don't think so. It's just a change in the betting dynamics. Now, Joe Blow, the 5th starter, can be a 200 favorite at home. Now you pay an even bigger premium price when any good pitcher, because are there any phenomenal pitchers? Yeah, there are a few definitely out there still, but good pitchers, especially once you get through the season's first month, they're consistently laying 200 to 240, morning, noon, and night. It has just changed the way you have to bet baseball. And what that means is basically you've got to rely more on run line plays where you're willing to lay the 1.5 runs, which means, of course, your team has to win by 2. But many times you're getting those same pitchers that you would have laid the big price with. Sometimes you're getting them as a dog. Sometimes you're still laying the juice with them. You might be laying only the 120, 130. As the season progresses, you'll find that when Roy Halladay takes the hill and he's minus 300 at home for the Phillies, you'll find that you're still probably laying $1.50 with him on the run line. And run line plays are a great way to make money. I mean, if you know what you're doing and you follow these teams on a consistent basis, you can definitely make money betting them on the run line. But last year was a really strange year when it came to run line wagering. I don't know if it's because last year generally the overall state of pitching was better and offense is not what it once was, as it was a few years ago in the heyday of the steroid era, but you didn't have as many blowouts, it seems, from my perspective, a gambling perspective, and it made run line plays much harder to win. Yeah, you'd win the games, you'd win them by 1. 5-4 doesn't cut it when you're laying 1.5, you know what I mean? But still, it's the way that you have to look at the majority of the games. As I handicap baseball, I look at every single game, I look at the prices that I project versus what the actual line is in Vegas. I run them down in terms of their money line price And then I immediately run them all down according to their run line price. And that's how I come up with my wagering over the years. I've won 9 of the last 13 baseball seasons. I've turned a profit. Yesterday, hit the first 15-dime baseball play of the season with the Detroit Tigers. And here's something else I just want to point out. So many times you'll hear amateurs in this business, guys that really just don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, say, hey, this guy screwed me, or this team screwed me, I'm not going to go on them again. I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, what? Hey, listen, I backed the Detroit Tigers as a small 5-dime play in their season opener at New York last Friday. And Justin Verlander, who had a phenomenal spring training, but has always struggled in the opening months of the season. In fact, really always struggled in March and April starts, right? He didn't pitch that well. I mean, that's the bottom line. He didn't pitch that well, and the Yankees got to him, and they won that game. A lot of guys, as I said, will go, oh, Verlander screwed me. The Tigers screwed me. I mean, again, nobody screwed anybody here. When you lose a play, you lost the play because you made a bad decision in placing your wager, okay? That's the bottom line. So I had absolutely no fear in coming back with Detroit last night. And in fact, because Verlander pitched so poorly, well, average, let's say, mediocre, in the opener, after a strong spring, I actually got a tremendous price, as did you yesterday, on the Tigers at Baltimore, because the Orioles were undefeated. I didn't think they were that good. And because everybody looks into the Tigers ace and they go, hey, this guy always struggles in March and April. It's situational handicapping. You can't turn a blind eye to it. You've always got to be focused on it. And again, because a team or a pitcher or a manager, they never screw you. Don't hold it against them, because you might be missing your next money-making opportunity. Yesterday, I hit the 15-dimer on the Tigers, and also cashed in with a 5-dimer on the New York Knicks, winning outright at Philadelphia. Something I don't think a lot of guys, probably are aware of out there. The Philadelphia loss. Everybody was making such a big thing about Elton Brand playing with a broken hand over the past month. If you looked at his stats pre-broken hand and post-broken hand, his points were down like 2 points a game, his rebounds down like 1.5 rebounds a game. It really hadn't affected him. And of course, he was their leading scorer last night against the Knicks. I think what everybody overlooked, however, with all the Brand hysteria, was the fact that the Sixers lost Lou Williams, their sixth man, one of their key. I can't really say he's their sixth man. They've got 2 key players that come off the bench. They've got Thaddeus Young, who plays forward, sometimes goes into the backcourt, but mainly forward, and Lou Williams, who comes in at the guard position. He has been the trigger man, their instant offense, the guy who really leads the charge for Doug Collins' bench, a bench that has averaged near 42, 43 points a game over the past 2.5 months of the season. He's out for the rest of the regular season with a hamstring injury. Now, they got by. Well, they didn't get by. They actually lost to Boston 2 nights ago when Evan Turner came off the bench and led the team with 21 points, and he's going to see substantially more minutes with Lou Williams out. But Turner's been inconsistent with his shot all season. He struggled again last night against the Knicks, and you saw what happened there as Philadelphia lost the game outright. So sometimes it's not the injury that gets the most publicity, it's the injury to the key player that you might not be aware of. And in this case, that key player happened to be a key reserve that, as I said, is their igniter for that second team that's so effective for Philadelphia this season. If Williams doesn't come back, not that the Sixers playing probably Boston or Miami have a hell of a great chance to win that first round series, but it may be ugly, and it might be even uglier now here in the final few games of the regular season as well. Now, speaking of the NBA, tonight I've got my play that matches my biggest play of the past 2 years, a 15-dime play, 12-4 with those NBA plays the past 2 years. 7-2 this season. It's a 15-dime play, just as strong as last night's on the Tigers. It's on your Chicago-Boston side. Now, for the total of this game, your total's sitting right around 179, 179.5. I can tell you that the Bulls have gone over in 8 of their last 10 games. I can tell you that the Celtics have stayed under the total in 12 of their last 15 games, and those 2 facts do absolutely nothing to help you handicap this game. I can also tell you that 2 of the 3 games in the regular season meetings have gone over, but the 2 that went over, the Bulls were shorthanded, and the Celtics were playing at full strength, having a legitimate center in there that was actually healthy at the time. I look at the game this way. When I look at totals, I project what I think is going to be the final score in every game. Then I look at the over-under price. I projected 181 to be scored in this game. The price is 179.5 or 179. Thus, I think the over is the play here in this contest tonight. Big game for both teams in terms of the Eastern Conference standings. Again, I'm going with the over as your free pick in Chicago and Boston. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Friday morning.